Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Jake McPherce. It's Monday night, July 30th, 2018. It's probably about 11:30 right now, p.m. I'm here this time of the night to finish giving you to get to film my third video in the series of my 1999 Ford F-150 pickup. It's got a 4.2 liter engine, V6. It's an F-150 XL, and this is the third video in the series that I'm doing so far. How to the repair and fix of the Hydrolock issue. I covered all the way up to showing you the timing chain gears and the timing chain with the timing chain tensioner in place. The only thing I was lacking to finish up was putting the cam sprocket bolt and the cam sprocket in place and torquing that down and pulling the pin out of the timing chain tensioner. Now, I've already covered that up already because I started doing the video today that I'm supposed to be doing on the timing chain cover and the water pump installation. It's like a package deal when you do both of them. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to walk you through what I've already done, and I have to do this video if I'm going to do it right now because I've already got the timing chain cover and the water pump in place, and I have to get ready to torque it down here in a few minutes before too much time goes by. I've already got the sealant on it with the gaskets, and I've got to be able to come up with the right torque specs before it dries, okay? So, let me turn this thing around, okay? So we can see the engine. Bear with me, I'm going to put this light on my head, okay? There. Now I've got the light on my head, and I can walk through this pretty easily. Alright. As I said before, I did the actual chain and all that stuff in the last video, the last part I did. The bolt that goes on the end of the camshaft, the camshaft sprocket, which is about that big around, about as big around as the shaft here, the crankshaft. It's about that diameter, I guess. That goes on the camshaft, slides down with the keyway like I showed you. Now, after you do that, the bolt, finger tighten it in the crankshaft, and then you tighten it down 33 foot-pounds and an extra 90-degree turn. Okay? I did that, and then after I did that, I pulled that pin out of the timing chain tensioner. You can't see all that, but imagine you still see it. Now, the next thing I did was moved on to the timing chain cover and the water pump. The water pump's new, so I didn't have to clean the old gasket material off of it. And, however, on the timing chain cover, I cleaned it up, and I cleaned the surface from where the oil pump mounts there, the bottom of the timing chain cover where the oil pan will meet up against, and then on the side here underneath you can see the gasket right there. If I can get this camera right there's the gasket, part of the gasket showing. Okay, on the whole underside of that timing chain cover, I cleaned all the old gasket material off of there, and of course all the way around it, it's like a horseshoe shape. But the point I'm trying to get at, make sure you clean all the mating surfaces where you're going to put new gaskets on at the assembly process of the engine. I also put a new front seal right here, which you have to knock the other one out, then you tap this one down in I did that with it off of the engine over here on the ground earlier today. And then I made a video when I was doing all this, and 2 of them. And neither video turned out good at all, so here I am. I have to walk you through this time. Hopefully the next videos I do, I won't have that problem. But the process for putting after you've got everything cleaned up on the cover and your water pump, what you're going to do, okay? Make sure you have all your bolts, and there are links online where you can double check, make sure you put the bolts where they go. But when you take it off to do the job, make sure that you take pictures or take a video going around your water pump and your timing chain cover, and you can pretty much know exactly where the bolts go back. On this setup, you have studs. You have studs with a fixed nut on them, and you have bolts, and you have more studs over here with fixed bolts, and you have a stud over here. So on this particular setup, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 studs. Right here's one, right there. Then you got a stud right there with the fixed nut, and these 2 are fixed nuts. Okay? So in total, you have 13 bolts or studs or nuts that go hold it, that fasten the timing chain cover and the water pump to the block. Okay? Some of the bolts bolt the water pump to the timing chain cover. Some of the bolts the timing chain cover to the block. Some of the bolts are the water pump and the timing chain cover to the block. I know it sounds confusing, but it's just the way you got to do it. It's like a package deal. When you put timing cover on, starting from scratch, putting it back together, you got to put them both on together. Because the main reason you need to put them back on together, because there is actually a torque sequence for putting them back together. The torque sequence is kind of like crisscross, like this. Like that's one. And up here on top, there's another bolt there. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back and forth like that. Okay? Now, I apologize for the way the video is turning out, but it's okay. Now, first thing I did was took the cover, timing chain cover, and I turned it upside down on the ground over here. I knocked out the old seal here. I put the new seal in, and you just want to put some oil around it and tap it around. Or you can go to the parts store, and a lot of the parts stores now have tools that you can rent to press them in. Okay? So I tapped it in and got it about where it's supposed to be, and that's where it is. Okay? Now, the next thing I did is I got my gasket that comes, the gasket for the timing chain cover, the one that goes between the cover and the block. And it's like a horseshoe shape, like I said. And with the cover turned upside down, I put some gasket maker sealant on the cover, spread it all the way around, a thin layer across the whole surface. Then I took my gasket, I put it on the back side of the cover, pressed it down all the way around, lined up all my holes, made sure everything is in the right place. And then what I do is I go ahead after I've got that done, and I put a thin layer on top of the gasket. So that way, after I'm done, all I had to do is flip the cover over and set it on the engine. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that cover will slide in place, and then it'll be aligned. So that's what I did. Okay? Now, after I had the timing chain cover sitting on the engine, Then I took the water pump and I turned it upside down, put sealant on it. Then I took the gasket, laid it on the sealant, lined up all the holes on there, made sure that you can see all the way through them so they won't interfere with the bolts when you put it on and rip it or something. Okay? But after the gasket was on it, then I took more sealant, a thin layer, and spread it out on the gasket. Let it sit for half a minute. And then I flipped the water pump over and set it down in place. And it too goes over these 3 bolts and a bolt over here. So it's aligned. Then you go through the process of putting all the rest of your little bolts in and tighten them all everywhere hand tight. If you run into it to where you can't do it hand tight, you may have to use a ratchet, but just go down flush to the surface of it. Don't go ahead and torque it down. Okay? Because you want them hand tight. Let it set up a little bit hand tight. Then you go back and you torque it all down and you're done. So where I have here, my glue here is still a little bit tacky. You can see right there. Hold on. It's not the bit right there. A little bit tacky. Okay? And then I have glue here. Now this down here is like a different stuff, okay? So I'm going to try to scrape that off to where it's flush. Okay, put me a little bit there. Put me a little bit, scrape this stuff here off where I put it on there. See it? That part's kind of dry. But I need to torque this on down the rest of the way. Up inside it, I don't think most of that is still a little bit tacky where the air can't get to it. Now, so basically, once you get the gaskets on it, the bolts in place, then you torque the bolts. Every bolt on it is 18 pounds, and then an extra 90-degree turn. Okay? 18 pounds, 18 foot-pounds, and an extra 90-degree turn. A quarter of a turn. And then after you've got them all torqued down, you're done with the timing chain cover and the water pump itself. Okay? Once you get those done, then you have the mating area for the water, the oil pan, where it can mate up all the way around. You can put your sealant on it and do that in one piece. See, otherwise, if you put the oil pan on, it overlaps and comes out here, and then you have to kind of put some sealant on here and hope you can get it to seal right. Well, I wanted to do it this way so I could just mate it up there and I'm done. Okay? So in the next video I'm going to cover putting on the oil pan. Okay? That's the next thing I'm going to do is the oil pan. So, I'm going to do it tomorrow during the day where I can see everything, and you can see everything a lot better, but I think for instructional at this moment, that's how you put the timing chain cover on, and that's how you put the water pump on. It's a very simple, straightforward thing, but you've got 13 bolts to hold the assembly on to the block, and hold the water pump to the timing chain cover. So it's 13 bolts, and it does have a sequence they go in to tighten them. It's a 2-step process on them. You go 18, 90 degree, 18, 90 degree, 18, 90 degree, and then till you work through every bolt. Now, one last thing I'm going to tell you is the bolts on here, you have different size nuts and bolts on it. Okay? Those are about, they're about 9/16. Then you move up here. Okay? That bolt right there is smaller than the bolts over there. Okay? Those are bigger. Then you move up here. around the other side of the engine, okay, then these bolts up here are short, and they've got the same size head, about a 10 millimeter, I guess. So my point is, you have about 3 different bolt sizes, so you need to have all your sockets ready, so when you go through the sequence, you can change them out on the torque wrench, okay? So you don't have to do anything but set your torque wrench to 18 foot-pounds, find the sequence. You can look online and get the sequence that you tighten them down, and once you tighten the bolts down at 18 foot-pounds and go that extra 90-degree turn, then you're complete with this installation. Alright? I'm going to look at this video. If I'm not happy with it, then chances are I'll probably do a better video in the daylight to where you can see it. Okay? I apologize for this one being late at night, but I think it's pretty cool, actually. I can do these things during the day or night or whatever, but I have a limited light ability right now, so, and my phone, I don't know how to switch it back and forth in the middle of the video, so I can look from the screen and see what I'm looking at. So just bear with me on these things. It's kind of fun doing this, and at the same time, it's kind of annoying to me coming up with ways to do this. Excuse me. I don't know what I got, but something's in my throat. So I need to get my torque wrench and tighten these things down before I lose it. Before I have to take it all apart and put new gaskets on it, because I don't want that sealant drying all the way before I torque it down. You're supposed to torque it down roughly about an hour. Within an hour, you can torque it down and still, and it'd be right to torque it down to the final torque. Okay? So I don't want to cross that path. I want to get this torque down because I don't want any problems with my engine. Okay? For now, we'll talk to you later. Have a good night, and hopefully I don't have to do this video over again, because that'll be my 3rd or 4th time I've shot the video. Okay? So, hopefully you can see my mud face here, and you can see the engine the way I had it all lined up, but if I may end up doing this video over tomorrow and just walk you through everything I did anyway. If not, we'll talk to you later, and we'll do the oil pan if I don't do this one over. Okay? See, I can't even get everything straight here. Alright, later.